Wyoming is famous for its scenic byways, natural monuments, diversity of ecosystems, and national parks like Yellowstone. Wyoming is also known as the first state to grant women the right to vote. Humans have inhabited Wyoming for over 12,000 years, carving out trade routes and paths across the rugged, sprawling lands and constructing monuments like the Medicine Wheel. The stone monument, which served as a center of spiritual ceremony, is located in Bighorn National Forest and is one of the largest and most well-preserved of its kind. Wyoming is famous for women's suffrage, being the first place in the United States to grant women the right to vote. Starting in 1869, women could head to the ballot boxes over 60 years before the 19th Amendment grant universal suffrage. Wyoming has the lowest population in all of the United States, with only 581,348 people, even though the state is one of the largest by physical area. Only Alaska has a lower population density than Wyoming. Bring your coats and gloves, because wintertime Wyoming gets cold. The average temperature ranges between 5 and 10 degrees Fahrenheit (-12 to -15 Celsius), with some parts of the state averaging 5 below zero. But that winter chill means plenty of opportunities for winter sports. Wyoming's got it all: ice climbing, snowshoeing, dog sledding and ice fishing. Above all, Wyoming is a renowned destination for skiing and snowboarding. You can seek expert challenges at Jackson Hole, opt for stunning scenery of the Tetons at Grand Targhee, or head to one of the several other excellent resorts in the Cowboy Santa. Given its nickname as the Cowboy State, it only makes sense that there are a fair share of rodeos in Wyoming. In fact, Wyoming is famous for rodeos big and small. Cheyenne Frontier Days, one such rodeo, is held annually for 9 days in the summer. Wyoming is known for its sagebrush steppes, which stretch across much of the central and southwestern reaches of the state. Sagebrush refers to a variety of shrub plant species that define different ecoregions of the Mountain West. The steppes sit at high elevations amid arid regions, providing habitats for hundreds of vertebrate species like the sage grouse, pronghorn antelope and mule deer, for example. Sagebrush has also been known to be used by Native American peoples in smudging, a ceremonial practice that involves the burning of sacred herbs for spiritual cleansing. Wyoming is known for the Red Desert, a high-altitude desert in the state's southwest. Once part of an inland sea, it is now an arid basin around which the Continental Divide splits and rejoins. The Red Desert is a land of rugged canyons, sand dunes and badlands, among which roam the largest herd of pronghorn antelopes in the continental U.S., the world's largest herd of desert elk and herds of wild horses. Nothing is quite like watching a wild horse race across an untamed landscape. In Wyoming, you can do just that, if you're lucky. Wyoming is famous for its Mustang herds, which predominantly gallop across the southwestern quarter of the state. Constructed solely by engineer Lee Smith in the 1980s and 90s, the mansion is a dizzying, thorny mass of logs that rises from the landscape in Wapiti Valley. It was initially planned as a regular log home, but once he started, Smith could not stop. If you're strolling through Yellowstone and you inhale the pungent stench of sulfur instead of crisp alpine air, don't be alarmed. That's because the park is a hotbed of geothermal features, many of which release a fragrant sulfuric gas. Wyoming is famous for its geothermal activity like hot springs and geysers, most of which are concentrated in Yellowstone National Park. Over half of the world's geysers are located within the national park. Former President and naturalist Teddy Roosevelt described it as the most scenic 50 miles in the world. After a sunset drive through its astonishing rock formations and piney forests, you'll find it hard to disagree. One such route is Buffalo Bill Cody Scenic Byway, which winds through a state park of the same name as you approach the east entrance of Yellowstone. Former President and naturalist Teddy Roosevelt described it as the most scenic 50 miles in the world. After a sunset drive through its astonishing rock formations and piney forests, you'll find it hard to disagree. All this talk of deserts, hot spring sagebrush makes one thing clear, that Wyoming has lots of land. The Bureau of Land Management maintains some 61 million acres in Wyoming. The vast majority of that acreage contains mineral and energy. In the northwest corner of Wyoming, and bleeding into Montana and Idaho, lies Yellowstone National Park, which was the first established national park in the United States and perhaps the first of its kind in the world. Seated atop the Yellowstone supervolcano, the park is famous for its geothermal activity like geysers, hot springs and mud pots. There are over 10,000 thermal features across the park, such as the Old Faithful Geyser and Mammoth Hot Springs. Just south of Yellowstone, the Teton Range rises dramatically from the landscape, the snow-capped wall of stone around which Grand Teton National Park spreads. On its eastern edge, a scenic highway offers spectacular views as it winds along the sagebrush fields, lakes and streams. Long-vanished glaciers sculpted the peaks which can be explored on more than 200 miles of hiking trails. Like in many national parks, you need a permit for backcountry camping and a good deal of planning to make sure you stay safe, sound and bear-free. If intense backpacking isn't your thing, there are plenty of other activities in Grand Teton. Boating and floating are common along waterways like the Snake River and Jackson Lake. In addition to two national parks, Wyoming is famous for Devil's Tower and Fossil Butte National Monuments. The Devil's Tower was the first national monument, making Wyoming the state of firsts in honoring the nation's natural heritage.